Muhammad Usman Ghani. Now I would like to call Dr. Omer Farooq Saeed, who is a lecturer at the Islamic University of Malaysia, to deliver his presentation on the response of Western scholars to recent Muslim thinkers.
How does this thing work? Does the forward arrow, right? It's not working really. Show you. Okay, absolutely fine. Working now. Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everyone. So my topic for today is the works and the works of the Muslim thinkers, or should I say Muslim evangelists, in the 20th century, and their comparison with the Western scholars, which they have done on their work. So basically the approach which I follow, I should start from introducing my approach. So the research philosophy I used is constructivist, and then the methodology that I used in my paper is qualitative case study. Of course, you can't quantify opinions, but you can certainly categorize them. And this is what I did. So basically, moving with the topic, why did I have to choose this topic? Because also with reference with the theme of the conference, it was very important for me to learn from the people who have done work in their respective fields in the past 200 years. We have understood that basically we have had violence in our background, in religious background especially. I'm not talking about the social background. I did talk about it previously. But this basic, moving with the abstract, this basic thing which I did has three implications. We have to understand that what exactly a human response is. Let me now first introduce biologically, before I go into the detail of the paper. A human response, basically, in terms of biology, is the survival instinct. Basically, everywhere, every human being, each and every human being, have this basic instinct of survival that your brain will send the signals to eat, would, of course, force you to eat something or drink something in order for you to survive in this world. Also, if you see what psychological response does you as a human being have? What psychology does a human being basically have? We see that we have three different kinds of responses psychologically. Number one, I will quote an example and in order to make you understand what basically it is. Number one, if you are in a conflict with a lion or with a tiger, what basic response would your body would generate? Number one, you will get afraid of it. You will get afraid and try to run away. This is phobia, number one. Number two, what other thing can you do? You can attack it. This is what? This is violence. And what are we left with? The third thing, you can pet the thing. That is love. This is a third response, which of course, we know how much love prevails in the world, not so much. So moving ahead, now as you have understood that the reason why we human beings have had this history of violence and phobia, social phobia and violence in religion, is because of our basic psychological response. I do not hold anyone responsible for it, basically, because this is how we are built. But then there is a possibility. There is certainly a possibility that we can move to the third discipline of the psychology of a human being does have. It is for us to learn this. It is for us to learn how to love each other in order to coexist peacefully, which is extremely important. Moving to the works of please continue. So, first category, moving on the first, types of Muslim intellectuals. Number one, I have categorized classically, where the classic ulama, and then they were secular, and then they were modern. at this time. Postmodern, you can say as well. So moving with the classical ulama, which were the scholars, they were from the 18th to 19th of century. who have done their work. Also, I would like to quote, during the course of my study and research, I contacted John Esposito, which is a renowned scholar. He has done his work on Muslim scholars and thinkers of the past, from 19th to 18th century. He wasn't a very big fan, by the way, of Ibn Taymiyyah. He wasn't. He is now, of course, not a very big fan of him. He has criticized his work because of the violence his teachings may create, and people do associate. But also, having said that, it is not for us to judge a particular work of a person based on some of his teachings or some of his ideas that he has presented previously in his works. Of course, it may have many good things as well. So what John Esposito holds in this study of Muslim thinkers from the past, he says, according to him, that the classical scholars have done their part. They have done their work. Although he's not a big fan of Ibn Taymiyyah, but he is fan of the Muslim thinkers of the 20th century, especially the likes of the recipient of the knighthood, Sayyid Ahmad Khan, which will come next in the modern scholars. Also, what he has told, and moving ahead, he said that the modern era, and to make you understand what modernity exactly is. So modernity, according to Marshall Hodgson, he's a special major civilizational theorist and scientist. According to him, the modernity basically is the great Western transmutation. In simple words, it is to be distinct from the ancient. This is what modernity is. And also, in simple words, in this era, I would say that this is not modernity, this is post-modernity. It is that this postmodern era does not have a basic worldview, a constant basic worldview in which we can live and to follow a proper method and methodology in order to judge how basically we can follow a particular discipline in religion, also in academia as well. This is also a problem which I would like to mention, that in postmodern era, we do not have a basic worldview which is constant in its nature, which we used to have in the classical studies. I would say that although the works was done were of an extremist nature, but at least they have a constant worldview that we are going to follow this extremist and non-compliance kind of a worldview. But at least it was at that time. But now we do not have that. This is a problem which we need to address. Moving on. The postmodern radical ideologies that should not be, also mentioning the works of the regions. Let me now introduce you the regions. So basically, the Arab world, unfortunately, didn't have really the services of the scholars which were pluralist. We have to admit the fact. Although now there is some sort of change coming in that region. The western part of the Muslim community which lived there have developed this knack of being very optimistic about relations with the non-Muslims, and their academic work shows this. Also, the region in which we are in at this moment, which is the region of South Asia and Far East as well. This is mainly the region where both ideologies have prevailed. If I talk about the British rule here, I would also like to quote that in that time, not only the Muslims were so enthusiastic about debating the non-Muslims, which are the British were equally enthusiastic in debating the Muslims, because they learned our language, they learned the Urdu language, they learned many ways to debate. They have a proper science of debating being developed in that 20th century in this region as well. And credit goes to the people who lived at that time. They did the work and it prevailed. And since now we are here at this moment, I think the people have done their work. We should acknowledge it. Moving ahead, this region, of course, have worked in both the ways. But on the other hand, I would also like to mention the contemporary Muslim activist. Contemporary, if you can see, what I have seen is Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan, which I already quoted, Hassan al-Banna, Maulana Maududi, and Sayyid Qutb, and the likes of the last two ones, of course, have their political implications with them as well, because they had an organization which was basically meant to bring a political revolution. And when you join the political revolution with your works of religious or social nature, it becomes a little controversial. It's according to me, of course, you can defer to it. But according to me, it happens when you join politics and academics. Academics is, I think, according to me, is a different discipline. If we do not see the difference between two basic disciplines, which I know that we have to distinguish, but because my study is basically descriptive in nature, so I have to say that I should stick with not giving my personal opinion, just give you the description of the work that I have done. So that's basically the work of the nature of my work says that these are the people who at this time or previously in the 100 years have worked to the extent that it had implications both good and bad. But now if you see, in this era where we are living, we have three different ideologies. Number one, exclusivism. Exclusivism, I have only given the names and I will try to explain who were those people. Basically, Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab, we know them. Sayyid Muhammad bin Ibn Ali as-Sanusi, Imam Shamil Ayatollah Khomeini. These are the people who were exclusivists, basically, according to me. Also, what inclusivism, of course, I have mentioned it already. Also, the people who were with the pluralistic ideology associated to them are living at this age. One of them is Javed Gandhi as well. Very famous here, very famous. I don't know the international speakers know him or not, but he is very famous in this regard. Also the people, just to give you an idea, inclusivism is basically the idea of acknowledging other ideologies can also be good. They can have something good associated to it. And exclusivism, of course, is vice versa. And pluralism is that there is beauty in everything which has to be accepted. Also, there can be other different ideologies, may very well be better than you, may very well not be better than you as well. Also, I would like to conclude it here and give you and take a little bit of time, because I have a couple of minutes, to talk about environment, because I have been working it and it's devastating for me to learn. This city we are in, Lahore, it has an air quality index of 250 yesterday, which is absolutely hazardous. 140 is the limit, a basic normal limit. And now we have breaches to the level which is absolutely hazardous, which is devastating for me to learn as well. And I would like to encourage people to at least do something, plant a tree, or try to convert your vehicles into hybrid vehicles, if you can. So I would like to end on this note. It was important for me to deliver this message. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Omer Farooq Saeed. Now I would